Good morning and happy Tuesday here at Money Truth Moments. I am your host, Carlos Garcia, and I'm here with Judy Copenbarger. Hey, Judy, how you doing?
Oh, I'm having the best week ever, Carlos. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. I was looking forward to our show. I'm looking forward to sharing with folks a lot of great things today since we're talking about the intentional use of money. If you're just joining us now, folks, thank you for joining us. This is Money Truth Moments. If you're not following Judy, please do so at judycopenbarger.com. We'll talk about our website and some of the available resources that are there at your disposal as well, too. But I know that with great topics, we always try to make sure we can squeeze in as much as possible. So what do you say we get started?
Let's do it. I'm ready.
All right. So we've been talking about previously about the intentional use of money. Talk to us about that mindset of the intentional use of money.
Oh, there's definitely mindset. It's just like mastering anything. You've got to start with the mindset, the confidence it takes, the tenacity it takes, the commitment it takes to get something done or to master something. So when I start thinking about, the incremental money mindset, I remember back early in our careers, probably during college or right before college, I was so excited I got a raise and I was making almost $3.50 an hour. I know that dates me a little bit, but I was so excited that it was more than I made before. And it was several percent raise. And every time that happened, I thought, oh my goodness, if I ever get to the point where I make $1,500 a month, wow, died and gone to heaven, right? Well, not only has inflation happened, age has happened, but my life has changed. So every time I got a raise, every time I got a promotion, every time I changed jobs, opened my own business, got more degrees, whatever it was, there's this incremental mindset that shifts. So I will never go back to feeling happy about earning $3.50 an hour or $4 an hour because my mindset is shifted. I think $12 an hour would probably be upsetting at this point, right? $50, $100 an hour would be upsetting. So it's just go through life and the mindset shifts not only from our experiences and the confidence from achieving goals and successes, but it just happens naturally if we allow it to. And I think some of the saddest people, some of the people that have the most upset with their lives and regrets in their lives are ones that have never reset that mindset. They're still happy to just get by or just survive. And they never get to this threshold of it's not just survival anymore. It's like I'm thriving. I'm doing great. And there's more. And there's abundance and there's an infinite, the pie just keeps getting bigger. How much of it do I want to take? What slice would I like to have? So it all comes from mindset. That's the basis of everything when we're talking about the incremental dollar.
That's awesome. And that's very powerful as well, too. I know that we also want to talk about and share with our audience about some tips, for guiding folks in the intentional use of money. One of the things that I've heard you talk about is also practicing the intentional dollar activation. What is that? If you can explain that for us, please.
Oh, intentional. And that's the thing. It's intentional. It's on purpose. We're activating our dollars. We're trying to get them to do something with purpose, trying to get them to do something that's like work. We want Mr. Money working for us, right? We don't want him, sitting in the spare bedroom down the hall. He needs to be out working. So how do we get Mr. Money to work? One of the biggest mistakes I see clients and people do is that they over allocate in one area. Like they have too much money just sitting in savings. I'm not saying you shouldn't have savings, you should, but too much cash can actually work against you. They have too much money in real estate. Something could happen and they need to have capital and it's all in real estate, right? Or they have too much money tied into their business and they're not properly allocated. So it's about having better cash flows, better allocations and balance when it comes to that intentional dollar activation.
Got it. And so also, how does that, let me do a follow-up question. So how does that tie in also? I've heard you talk about earnest dollar planning. Does that tie into that or how does that transition into it?
It totally ties into that. And everything in this whole area of, money mastery, of becoming your own money whisperer, everything in this area of finance comes down to you believe you can do it. There's the mindset. You know what you need to do. That's the resources you need, the information you need, but then you've got to take action. It's not enough to just be book smart, or know what to do, or grandpa told me that, or I learned that in school. You actually have to implement. So you've got to know what to do. You've got to really have that motivation and a desire, and then you've got to take action. You got to have all three.
So, folks, if you're just joining us, we are speaking with Judy Copenbarger. We're going to Money Truth Moments. If you're not following Judy, please do so at judycopenbarger.com. We're going to talk a little bit more about our website, some of the resources here in a little bit. We've been talking about how to get started with the intentional use of money. This is a continued conversation that we've had in the last few weeks. And so we just talked about mindset. So if you're just joining us, please watch the beginning of the show so you can get a little bit of that as well. And we're kind of going through some of the tips that Judy's sharing with us, like, how to practice the intentional incremental dollar, practice the intentional dollar, and earnest dollar planning is some of the things that we just covered. I also want to talk to you about, I've heard you mention personify the dollar. What is that?
Oh, well, get your dollar out, put little arms on there, put little legs on there, draw a smile on him. Your dollars can be your best friends. And you think about, the best friends that you have in life over the years, they support you, they love you, they tell you the truth. They're there when you need them. Imagine that each one of your dollars is like that. Give them a personality, give them an activity, give them a purpose. Every dollar in your life should be doing something. It shouldn't just be part of a number on a bank account or a number in your IRA account. Each dollar should have something that it's doing, which comes back to that intentionality, right? What is the intention for this dollar and that one and that one? And one of the best questions people ask when they walk in the offices of, in the doors of my office is they ask, I have a dollar. What do I do with it? And that's a question that's asked in many different ways. Should I buy a house, or should I rent an apartment, or should I maybe sell some real estate, or should I lease it out, make a rental out of it? Should I open a business, or should I capitalize it more? Should I sell my business? Should I liquidate? Should I be putting money in a 401k, or would it be better to do a deferred comp program? All these questions are the same. In life I want to do, or if it's for family fun or family activities that I want to do. But if every dollar in your mind, back to the mindset, right? The way you think about it, if every dollar has a personality, it has an activity, it has a purpose, it has a plan, then that dollar is more likely to be viewed by you as your friend and someone who can support you, something that can help you get where you want to go down the road.
That's some great points, and it's a perfect opportunity to talk about your website and some of the resources also. Folks, if you're not following Judy, I've said it before, make sure you go to her website, judycopenbarger.com. Some of these questions that come up about money, there's a wealth of resources on our website that are free. There's tons of YouTube videos on different topics that Judy's put together over the years to make sure that you guys have some of these questions answered. But I want to specifically talk about two resources on the website, if you don't mind. And one is your book, Money, Truth, and Life, which, congratulations, still continues to thrive on all the platforms as well. And also I want to have you talk about your Money Mastery program, because I think these are two key resources of what you're saying, because we all have these questions. We all, that dollar example that you just gave, I remember that, asking my dad was always about, $2, save one, do this other, right? But that was the extent of it. You only spend half, save half, and that was the extent. So I want to make sure that folks know about the resources available on your website, and specifically about your book and your program as well.
Absolutely. And I love your dad for teaching you that. Some people go the opposite way. They never learn to save. They always spend everything that they have. The question is, what do you do next? Now that you've saved half of everything you've ever got coming in, when do you kind of shift gears and use that, right? And that's part of the to-do. We talked about the mindset, and then the resources, the knowledge. And that's what our website, and that's what this book is all about. So Money, Truth, and Life, the book, you said it's still doing well. That's true. It's been a #1 bestseller. We're very proud of it. Great team, great content. And it's a book designed to help people understand the 5 pillars of finance. Whether it's protecting your money, whether it's growing your money, what's the difference between a 401k and a 403b? Should I be doing one or the other? But what is it? What's an IRA? What's a Roth IRA? How are they different? They're very different. Different kinds of insurances, different kinds of wills and trusts, and all of the powers of attorney. There's just so much information. So what I've done with Money, Truth, and Life is I've taken all these decades of experience working with hundreds, thousands of financial clients, families, small businesses, ministries, and helping them understand concepts in a very visual, real way. So it's like, oh, I finally get it now. It's not that complicated. These words mean something, and I have a mental picture to tie it to that brings relevance to me, right? It means something to me. So Money, Truth, and Life does that for people, going through all the pillars of finance, giving you the resources and the information you need to actually do it well at your house, to manage money well at your house and navigate, avoid all the mistakes. So the reason I call it Money Truth is most of the information out there you're going to find is not the truth. It's either partial truth or it's totally deceitful, but it's designed to get you to buy a product or invest in a service or do something. Like most information out there in the financial world wants you to do something, to agree with someone so you'll buy their thing or sign up for their thing or do whatever they're wanting you to do. And there's almost this built-in conflict of interest. And even if you think of the information that you get, if you've learned about life insurance, it probably was from a life insurance agent. And guess what? The higher your premium that you pay, the more insurance they sell you, the more money they make. So it's not that they're bad people, but there's this built-in conflict and you want to know. And, we talked about this purposefulness of your dollar, the intentional use of your dollar. You want to know where your dollars go. If you're paying fees, if you're paying taxes, maybe there's taxes you don't need to be paying, but nobody's telling you that. That's one of the things that we cover in Money, Truth, and Life, the book. Now, we also have this online mastery program by the same name, Money, Truth, and Life. It covers a lot of the same content. It's got real stories, anecdotes, worksheets, templates, activities that will help you bring the relevance of this information as you're learning it to your life. So you actually put it into play. And remember that third part of this mastering something, you've got to implement. You've got to do something. It's not enough to just know it. You've got to do something that puts you in a better position and kicks the ball down the road, right, toward that touchdown. So you want to just keep making progress. As you learn things, you implement, and then you learn, and then you implement. And if you do that without making mistakes, the penalty, you got to go back, and now you've got more room to make up. You know what that's like. So most of us have had those financial penalties that have happened where it's like, oops, won't do that again. And then we do it. And then, oops, we won't do that again. And then we do it. So, and then we're spinning, making the same mistakes, and we're not getting the right information to get us out of that kind of pit, that spin. So that's what Money, Truth, and Life online mastery program does. And right now it's offered for a week free. Like you can sign up and watch all the classes, all the courses you want for free without having to subscribe, and for the rest of your life. But even if you did that, it's only, I don't know, like $8, $9, $10 a month. It's not a big deal. But you can watch for 7 days all of the classes that you want for free and learn about any of the concepts that you want in your financial world.
And folks, if you have a chance, like I said, make sure you do check out the website, judycopenbarger.com. Take advantage of some of these resources, folks that are actually signing up or even taking advantage of the free online mastery program for these days. Let us know. Give us some feedback. We'd love to hear that. I know it's life-changing, both the book and the program as well. So it's definitely something that I want to come back to a little bit later in the show. But for now, folks, make sure that you're writing down the website and you're connecting with her on social media as well, too. So let me talk to you about, as we continue to talk about the intentional use of money, talk to us about the potential versus actualized when it comes to money.
Yeah. So the potential is really limited only by your mindset. How much could I earn? Could I earn 100 an hour, 1,000 an hour, 5,000 an hour? What really could I earn? It sounds like big numbers to some of you listening. It's really not. Somebody's doing that. Why not you? So you have the potential that could happen, if you unlock that potential, if you unlimit yourself with what's possible, the promotion you could get, the title you could have, the job that you could create. If you get to the top, to that ceiling, of what you can do in a workplace, make your own workplace. And why not? Right? So, and I know not everybody's entrepreneurial, but for those of you who are and you're limiting yourself, consider there's another way. There's a way to not limit yourself and open up and unlock all that potential. So potential versus actualized. One of the things that I need to talk about here is risk. So if you have a dollar and the dollar has potential to earn something and it's not, and that's an example you mentioned, save a dollar, spend a dollar, if you earn two, that's kind of the, what you grew up with. But what happens when that dollar that is saved it has become all of your wealth? Now it's all cash. What do you do now? How do you allocate it now? Is it actualized? And we talked about personifying your dollar. Actualizing is the same. It's like you're turning it on. You're unlocking the potential of that dollar to do something, to get to work, get on its little boots and its little work belt and go to work. And you don't want to keep your money from working. And sometimes, people will agree with that, but they're like, but where do I start? How do I do that? And then that's where you go to Money, Truth, and Life, learn how to do that, or go to our YouTube videos. There's videos on all of these questions that you have about everything financial, from how interest works to different types of trust, to all the different kinds of insurances and mutual funds, and how the stock market works. What's a bull, what's a bear, and why should we care? Hey, there's a poem. I just made a poem. But there's all these things. So when you think about saving a dollar of two, one of the things we need to talk about is this risk. There's not only market risk, like I don't want to put in stock because the market might go down. That's market risk. There's also opportunity risks. There are many kinds of risks that people don't think about. If the dollar is sitting in the bank and could be working, you are taking risk. You're actually losing ground to inflation right now with interest rates. And most of the time it's that way. So you want to make sure that all risks are being addressed. And then if you make a mistake, you want to make sure that you're able to reboot, recalibrate, forgive yourself, and then get active again, get back in the game and move forward. And when you know better, you do better. And you kind of dust yourself off and say, okay, well, I learned this time. When I see that circumstance again, I'm going to make sure I make a different choice. And then you move forward with integrity, with intention, to make sure that all those dollars are actualized and not just potential pie in the sky.
Excellent. Let me go back also, because we've been talking about the mindset for the intentional use of money. So you mentioned also that the truth about money, right? And actually the guidance when it comes to that. If somebody's getting started on this, right, what are some things that you can share? What are some the do's and don'ts of what to look out for when we're trying to ask for that help? We're trying to ask or look for that advisor that can help guide us, period. Because it's a big world out there. There's a lot of people doing the same thing, but you don't know who's who, basically, So maybe you can share some of your wisdom on that and things to look out for and how to even get started.
Yeah, I think for a lot of people, all financial people look alike. They all look like a banker or a realtor or a stockbroker. You think about what a financial guy looks for. Their arms are crossed and they have a stern look and they're wearing a black suit and a skinny tie and they're from New York, Manhattan, right? So we have this, experience that we bring when we're looking for, a better way. And I think the first thing, I talked about the mindset and get some resources. And you're like, okay, I'm beyond that now. I've made my mini plan. I know what I want to do, but now I need someone, a professional, to implement. I can't sell myself insurance. I can't sell myself a mutual fund. I can't open my own 401k. I don't have licenses. I wouldn't know where to start, and I don't have the expertise for that. I can't write my own will. I'm not a lawyer. So how do you do that? How do you find the people that are aligned with you? And I think the first step is to find someone who is aligned with your beliefs, with your core beliefs. If you have a faith-based background, that's going to be an important alignment. Rather than a secular background. If you're conservative fiscally, or if you are willing to take a lot of risk, fiscally, like, oh, let's go ahead and buy the brand new IPO, the brand new stock that's a brand new company. I think it's going to go 100 times in this year. And that happens, but some people don't have the tolerance for that kind of risk. So you want to find an alignment with an advisor that way. I think the core values is probably the biggest piece, to find that alignment. Because if you like to give money away to charity or something like that, and you have an advisor saying that's stupid, it's not going to work, right? You're going to end up changing habits that are, your core. So finding that alignment is a big deal. On the professional side, I would say if you look for someone who you can trust, you want to look for a fiduciary. So this is going to help someone totally eliminate that conflict of interest we talked about, where you get this advice, but you're wondering, is that advice really the best for me, or is that benefiting other people too, other companies too? And a fiduciary, an accredited investment fiduciary, AIF is the degree or the designation you're looking for. That's going to be someone who by law has to do what's best for you first. So that conflict of interest by law is removed. And I'm an AIF. I have that designation. And I have to write down everything every time I make a recommendation for a client. I have to write it down and prove all the other choices that we chose from and why we made this choice and why it's the best for the client. And it's audited. I mean, I have to prove it, back it up in writing with all of my due diligence to make sure the advice I give a client is the right advice for them. When it comes to fees, when it comes to benefits, when it comes to any contractual obligations or responsibilities they have, all of those things, the projections, the risk tolerance, staying in their risk tolerance, all of those things have to be considered before any advice can be given, let alone received by a client. So an AIF is something you can look for. There aren't very many though, and you might be in an area where there just aren't any around. I think the next best designation to look for would be someone that has the breadth of knowledge to help you make a good choice in one area, but not cause a problem in another. For example, you buy a property, but now your cash is low, or you sell a stock, but now you've caused a tax problem, or you set up an estate plan and now it blows up your insurance plans. So you want to have someone that understands how all of that works together. And I think the best designation to look for there would be a CFP, and that's a certified financial planner. And there are many, there are thousands in the United States. So if you have someone with a CFP designation, that means not only did they have to go to college, because there's a lot of initials you basically take a quiz or pay money to get, but a CFP, you have to have gone to college, you have to have at least one undergrad degree. And then beyond that, there's a couple years of training, a series of exams, a lot of schooling, many courses of schooling to become a CFP. Now, it doesn't mean that they can just go to school and, pass tests and they're smart that way, but they have to also be able to integrate that information together, pull it together and do a plan. So if you have a CFP in your life that's advising you or giving you counsel, at least you're getting some comprehensive perspective for the planning that you're implementing. So CFP, I think, is great. As I mentioned, AIF. There are other designations that might be helpful. I think when you're looking at taxes, an enrolled agent for most people is not going to be enough. They don't have enough background to give you what you need to pull everything out that you need when it comes to your tax preparation and tax planning. So you want to get a certified public accountant, a CPA. And the CPA has all the book learning and they've taken all these tests. It's a pretty robust training that CPAs go through. So they know their taxes. They also have to, by law, stay up on the law. And that's very important because tax law is very convoluted, very complex, changes every Tuesday. And right now we have laws coming down. Nobody even knows how they're going to be interpreted yet. It happens. And so the CPAs are probably in the best position to help you make smart tax choices moving forward. With that being said, most CPAs are always looking backwards. They're looking at the past to write down what happened. Some people call them bean counters. I don't think that's respectful, but their job is to look at what happened and make an accounting, a proper accounting of what happened as the money flowed. in different places and keep track of that. If you find a good CPA that works as a planner, they're forward thinking. They're thinking, what can we do to set you up tax-wise now that will help you in the next year and the next year and 5 years from now? Most CPAs don't think that way. They're wired to think backwards, not forward. Now, if you find a good one, particularly if you're a business owner, you have a corporation, or you're doing things with real estate or other investments, having this planning perspective of a CPA is going to be so valuable for you. It's not about trying to make your tax really low just this year, so you're happy and you hire them again next year. It's about putting planning in place so every year you end up with a bottom line that will impact your future and help your planning overall. So that was a lot of information about who to look for, but those are some designations that will put you on a good footing, a good path to start in your search.
No, and that's great. And I appreciate you sharing that, because one of the key takeaways also is something you mentioned, that you're always, and I'm sure your clients really appreciate that you're always giving them the right advice. You're not using a cookie cutter system, straight across the board for everybody, because everybody's situation is different. And I think that's the key takeaway, that we need to find folks like you to be able to implement that. It's not just this, it's a custom system for your needs, not straight across, what everybody else is doing or and so forth. So I appreciate you sharing that, because that goes a long way in making sure that folks get a little bit more comfortable if they're gun shy to, step in and start doing the right thing moving forward. So I know we're getting towards the end of our show, and you know what that means, right? It's time for our Money Truth Challenge. All right. What have you got for us today?
Okay, here's your challenge. You have learned a little bit about the incremental dollar. We've talked about the intentional use of your dollar and personifying the dollar. So here's your challenge for this week with what you have learned today. First thing, write down with pen and paper ways that you can take dollars and activate them in your life. So we talked about dollars that are not activated and dollars that are activated. So if you're going to activate some dollars, where are they? Is there too much in savings? Are there dollars that we're earning that we could be putting in a 401k at work or some kind of a retirement program that could be better suited for us? So look for those dollars that can be activated in your life. And what dollars do you have that you can bring to life and personify? So what that means is you might need to just set a goal, right? You have dollars in this account and it's for something special, but personify it, bring it to life, give the goal a name. Is it about some adventure and romance? Is it about that new car? Is it about retirement one day, the trip to Hawaii? What is that dollar for? And that will start to get, it's kind of like when you know you're going to have a great meal or some great dessert and you start salivating like you're getting ready. This personification of the dollar helps you get ready to have that happen in your life. And then the last thing that I want you to write down, pen and paper, is what dollars do I have that I need to get working? What money is sitting on the sidelines, not earning enough, not allocated properly, maybe overweighted in a certain area that I need to just move over, maybe into another column to get it working. So here you go. What dollar can be activated in your life? What dollars can I bring to life by personifying them? And what dollars should I get working starting today?
Folks, that's your Money Truth Moment Challenge. You've heard it. So make sure you get back to us. Take a look at some of the previous videos and some of the challenges. We'd love to hear back from you guys as well. Judy, as always, great seeing you. I appreciate your wisdom sharing this with everyone. Folks, if you're not following Judy, visit her website, follow her on social media, judycopenbarger.com. There's tons of free resources, and if you're not taking advantage of it, then you're missing out. Seriously, you are missing out. So you need to make sure you visit the website. Until next week, folks, we're here every Tuesday morning at 8 a.m., Money Truth Moments. This has been another great episode with Judy Copenbarger. Any last words, Judy?
Don't delay. Do it today. Have a great week.
Love it. All right. Take care, folks.